All right, we've got Liquid Ret and Startail Ace ready to go in this game number 1 on Palderum Altar. Sometimes I falter over big words. It's a little known secret. But you know what? Enough about me. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's just make sure they're ready to go. They say GG, GL, HF perhaps. And there's the countdowns. This is a best of 3 in week number 1. Division 4, Liquid Ret, Startail Ace. This is a huge match. We talked a lot about how Ret is carrying the burden of all of Team Liquid on his shoulders.
Yeah, Ret really needs this. Again, as you said, Team Liquid's in a little bit of a slump. Yep. So if Ret can pull this out, I think that's going to be the catalyst to really raise them up out of the ground, out of the ashes, if you will. And we're going to see a very, very improved Ret coming out of this game, I think.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, that's certainly one of the storylines here. The other thing, too, is that Startail Ace warping in as the blue Protoss in the top left-hand corner with Liquid Ret, the red Zerg in the lower right-hand corner. Ace is a champion Protoss from Korea. Actually, I believe he even went to that Australian tournament, but I don't know the results of that, so I probably shouldn't be speaking right now. But what I do know is he's traveled internationally, done well in Korea, done well outside of Korea, won himself a pretty good grip of cash, and now here he is in the North American Star League competing against some of the finest from, again, other parts of the world. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how his playstyle continues to blend with other players.
Now, he does favor the Stargate play, generally in Zerg versus Protoss. We probably will see that. I'm looking to that. Just because this is such a big map, we do have cross positions, so it's going to be very easy for him to do that. We can see a pylon going down immediately for Ace. It's over to the natural, so he looks to be fast expanding, probably going to be a Nexus before a Forge or a Gateway.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's cross positions. He is scouting that, okay, he's not to my lower left, I suppose. I mean, of course, there is the potential for the Zerg being top right. But, again, because this map is so large, you can get away with that Nexus first. But you know what? I actually like what I'm about to see. Yeah, I like the Forge first, and here's why. It's the first game against an opponent he probably has heard a little bit about. If there's anybody he's heard of, it would be a guy like Ret, who's traveled to Korea, who's competed at the same tournaments that he has a few times, I believe. So you might have some information on him and know that Ret's actually not a cheesy Zerg whatsoever. He's probably one of the most macro-oriented Zergs you can find. I actually joke that I think he's more of a macro Zerg than even Idra. Like, if Ret could, he would only make drones, probably a Remax with something else. Yeah. So it's a long-winded way of saying I like the Forge first because the first game in this best of 3, play it safer. You can get away with that Nexus first, but on a map like this, in a series like this, I'm okay with this.
That's why also he had the early scout. He went a pylon scout, and after making the pylon, he sent that probe out just to check where the Zerg was. And he didn't find Ret just yet. And just to play it safe, as you said before, he's going to throw down the Forge. That's why we also saw a double scout with the 2 probes coming out. But Ret is going to be able to come up here, see what's going on, see that there is a fast expansion. I'm kind of interested to see how he's going to be reacting, because there's a lot of different ways he can progress through this game.
This is really important that our Protoss players at home kind of notice, and Zerg players. Ret actually left his second Overlord right next to that morphing hatchery, and that is because he wants to see if any pylons go down. Anytime a Protoss opens Forge first like that, they have the potential to do a cannon rush, but that was shut down almost just kind of by the sheer value of Ret's scouting, I suppose, the vision of that Overlord. Because a morphing hatchery does have reduced vision, and the pylon can go down in near proximity without any kind of detection. So, very nice play by Ret early on. We do have the cannon and gateway going down for Startail Ace. Pretty standard stuff. I believe he's actually not completely walled in. No, he is not. And actually, as I say that, there goes the Cybernetics core, so we will now be completely walled in. Both gases are being mined at home, and this is usually very indicative of tech play.
Yeah, he's going to get those gases so fast. We can see the saturation on his minerals is so light for this point of time. It's very early, and you want to get as many minerals. Generally, you want to get as many minerals as possible. But he's not going to do that. He's going to get a lot of gas very early. And as soon as this Cybernetics core finishes, he's going to have enough to get that Stargate out. Now, this proves to be a very useful tool. He can go and scout extremely fast, almost like the Corsair in Brood Wars, StarCraft Brood Wars. He's going to be able to fly in there, see what's going on, and as his count gets a bit higher, he's going to be able to harass really strong on the mineral lines.
Interesting. He had it queued up, canceled it, went with the Sentry, and he went with the Warp Gate upgrade, so he probably saw something that made him slightly nervous Although, to be honest, I'm not quite sure what it was. He did just kind of scout a bunch of lings hacking away at the structural rocks on the right side of the map for Ret's third. So I got to presume he was uncomfortable with the number of lings and thought perhaps a Baneling bust was coming out of that as well, because if you actually look at the production tab, we don't have anything but now a Stalker following it up. So his tech is being delayed a little bit. Again, I think we can attribute this to just him playing safely. I don't think he's going to abandon the Stargate play entirely. It's worth noting that a lot of people are looking at this saying, okay, well, yeah, he only had the one cannon blocking his base. And actually, I couldn't be more wrong. 4 gateways go down. So Ace actually on the fly changing his strategy. Yeah. I did see that Stargate queued up. I swear I'm not seeing Ghost, though.
Now, the Stargate is very like his style. He's always, historically, he's been doing that. So it might be a little bit of metagame play that he's going on to Ret. Ret throwing down another hatchery, so he is going to fast 3 hatcheries, getting the 3 base up as fast as possible. He loves his economy, as we can see in the tab. 46 harvesters, 238.
You know, the more I look at this, the more I'm thinking that this timing is coming out, and we actually do have that proxy pylon going down on the mid-right side of the map. Very important for the push that's incoming. I feel like this is a reaction of him seeing that Ret was going to take a super fast third. And if you open up Stargate against that, if those queens are able to connect the creep between those bases and thwart that Stargate play, you're actually really behind as a Protoss. Yeah. So Ace making a really good call here. Warping in a lot of sentries, wants more time for them to gather energy, and then everything behind this is going to be Stalker Zealot. And here comes that timing, so this is going to go ahead and start pushing across the map. At least that's my prediction. And then with this pylon that's near the Protoss, and another pylon goes down. So yeah, this is actually a full-fledged attack, Retorp.
Yeah, I think it's a huge tell. Ret was able to see that. Now gets the Overlord in here. Sees the 4 warp gates. That's a big pick. Ret needs to prepare, though. He doesn't have many units out. Roach is on the way. However,
he's making so.
It's right on the cusp. I'm not sure if he's going to be in time to get this. Zergling's running up.
Oh, nice!
Might be able to get some sentries.
Yes! And that's brutal. Ace with the late force fields.
Oh, man.
Doesn't want to have to cast these in the middle of the map. So Ret pulls back, and that's so smart, too, Greetorp. So many Zergs will sit there and just take unnecessary damage.
Yeah,
it's not
just wait. But now he was able to bait so many force fields. It's going to weaken his push
look at the natural,
quite a bit. Another force field has to be baited. But look at this.
Meanwhile,
the third is under attack. So Ret, he's in a lot of trouble here. Roaches are out. Zergling's getting in here, but there are a lot of Stalkers.
He's got to make some lings. He has supply room. Oh, he's actually going to focus on the hatchery. Smart play by the Protoss, because now he can just outrun the Roaches, I think.
Yep.
If he wants to turn back home, and it looks like he is doing that. We see the sentries are moving across the map, and the Stalkers are going home, and oh my gosh, that is such good play. A lot of Protoss would push, kill a hatchery like that, and say, you know what, with a victory like that, I'm sure I can do more, and then just actually continue to spill it on. But look at Ret. He has to make more units. He has no idea. And this is such a good decision. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm a gushing fanboy. It's because I am a little bit right now. Ret loses that hatchery, and it's going to tear down these rocks at the high yield and probably expand there.
I like this play. Getting a hatchery out here, again, we said in the pre-show that creep spread is the hardest thing. But if he can start making a base out here, get his creep to flow from the middle rather than all the way down on his base, it's going to make it much easier for him to get a little bit of map presence all around this middle area. He can get the better creep size, get the better creep tumors. And we can see Ace trying to blow down his rocks right here. He might be looking to play a little bit more straight up after taking that huge hatchery.
Now, just to kind of update on the state of both players' armies, Ret is sitting on a handful of Roaches. They do have +1 range attack. No other upgrades are going down except +2 range attack. A Spire and a Hydralisk Den are being constructed as we speak, so he's kind of going for that standard composition. Meanwhile, the Protoss player is sitting on 0 upgrades. He did have to kill that Forge to go ahead and break down that wall. We do have another Forge inside his base, nearing completion of that +1 range attack. The Robo looks like it might just be for Observers and Immortals, at least at this stage, because we do have a Twilight Council going down with Blink, and the Protoss player is taking his third. So Ret actually... Oh, okay, I really like this. If you look at the top right-hand corner, Ret has a drone over by the structural rocks. I'm anticipating him breaking them down, and this is a really smart base. It's moving away from the Protoss, so that high yield would be really problematic. We did talk about how he might be taking that, but he's actually not going to do that for now. It was just kind of a, well, I'm here, I might as well destroy the rocks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I like this base because it's further away from the Protoss, but it's still somewhat on a same playing field, if you will, as the other Zerg bases. So he's able to defend that relatively easily while not exposing himself to a closer proximity to the Protoss death ball.
But I think Ret's going to have a lot of trouble in a little bit. Blink is being researched for his Stalkers. ST Ace is going to have a lot of movement control in the middle of the map. So if Ret doesn't link up his bases fast with some creep, it's going to be very hard to scale with these Blink Stalkers, as you can blink up and down this high ground over here and get into the natural, do a lot of damage, and then blink out immediately into this area. And again, the main is going to be accessible through this low ground. It is a bit hard to get there, but the point is he needs to start spreading this creep.
Ace has that probe in the top right-hand corner. I'm not quite sure if that's a scouting probe or if that's a tomfoolery probe. If there's on a pylon there, he can actually warp it on the low ground and actually bombard that 4th base. Ret is going for that 4th hatchery, as previously mentioned. Again, his composition's looking to be Hydra Roach heavy. We do not have any corruptors coming out, which is good, because it's going to be late Colossus, and Ret is actually doing a fantastic job of informing himself on kind of the state of the Protoss game right now. He's actually scouted out the robotic space, sees no upgrades are going down, and probably should be a little bit privy to the fact that there's not a huge rush of roaches ever so present at this time, at least. Meanwhile, Ace is very content with just taking his 3rd, establishing he does have a ring of Stalkers and Sentries, making sure that base goes up. 1 cannon will be the sack defense for now. It looks like he's going to go ahead and muscle up. We have an Immortal joining up, as well as other Stalkers, and there is that Tomfoolery pylon on the right side of the map. And that's really good play. I like that. You can only warp in I mean, you don't have to warp in a whole army. You can warp in 5 Zealots and harass the mineral line, and that base is under siege.
Yeah, so really nice play coming from Ace. Just scattering pylons, it's really nice. But
yes.
I do want to mention that Red has so much activity going all around the map. We can see in the mini-map, there's just red dots everywhere in every single sort of expansion. Really like this play, as it lets him be able to scale against the Protoss army.
Oh my god, a Greater Spire already.
And speaking of the Protoss army, he is looking like he wants to push out. I'm not sure if he's just going to go and expand first. He is going to the bottom area. But Red is going to find this with the control of the Zelnago Tower momentarily. Stalker and Sentry count is pretty large, but there are no Zealots.
Yeah, there's that Zealot at that expansion, and it's really not going to make that big of a difference here, actually. It came a little bit too soon. So many jokes to be made about that, but I'm not going to. Now, the Greater Spire is at an extremely early period of time right now. It's at the 16-minute mark. Typically, you don't see it till like the 20-25. And I know I'm splitting hairs just a little bit, but you'll be surprised what 5 minutes does in a StarCraft 2 game. And it's nice, because actually Startail Ace is moving over here, and presumably to go ahead and take like a left side base for his 4th. His Colossus count is low. Only his 2nd Colossus being produced right now. So I believe what's going to happen here is Ret's going to convert all his Corruptors into Broodlords. And actually with a high Broodlord count and a good standing army behind it, he should be able to hold that off. Now again, if you look at the right side base at the 4th, 3 more Zealots have been warped in. This is problematic for Ret. Now this is becoming rather bothersome. We do have a couple of Spine Crawlers tickling their way into success, and also Ret's reinforcements are going to thwart this. So kind of light harass. I'm not a big fan of it because it's not saturated just yet. I'd like maybe a couple. I mean, maybe that'll take fruition later, because right now Ret's actually completely ignorant to the fact that Zealots keep materializing in his base. He's like, all right, that seems standard to me.
The 9 Corruptors are out. We can see a group of Zerglings just traversing the map, and
they're going for the Colossus.
One Colossus.
Really ambitious.
But they are, for the most part, going to go down. Now, I'm not sure.
The Broodlords.
He's actually going to be making Broodlords. Very nice play. So he's just sacking those Zerglings to free up some supply. Going to get these Broodlords now, and I love this
Get your umbrellas out, Greetorp. Get your raincoat on. Get your little bootsies on. It's going to be raining Broodlings in just a few moments. We have 8 Broodlords in, well, actually, go ahead and call them morphing. And it's only off of 4 base, so this is like you can almost call it a timing. It's like a Zerg timing, if you will. And this is so dangerous. It looks like Ace is swinging around. Actually, that's kind of a weird angle.
Blink up.
Oh, we could blink up there, but
he'll
leave the sentries behind. That's kind of a weird choice.
Yeah. But
I don't know if I like this. Well, that is in the main, so he's going to go ahead and just harass a little bit, I guess. And the Broodlords are slow, so the Zerg base is under siege. Queen does go down. Infestation Pit is taking some damage, but it looks like... the Greater Spire gets focused down, but it's too late. Those Broodlords are out, and they're making their way over here. If Ret can sweep around and intercept this Stalker army, this could be huge problems for the Protoss.
No, I don't think so. He's just going to blink.
No, it's a missed blink!
Oh, no. He's going to lose.
Oh, my gosh, he left half his Stalkers inside the main. I mean, they are replaceable, okay? The Protoss does have 4K minerals, for Pete's sake, so it's not like it's the end of the world. Big warping in the top right-hand corner of that base, again under siege. Some DTs are now joining. It's only 3 Spine Crawlers stand between that, and they're actually going to fall. So this game has descended into chaos rather quickly, and oh no! The Broodlords are in the middle of the map. They have to be careful about these Stalkers. And there's the blink! The Broodlords have been left by themselves on an island. Ret, you've got to help them out. Here comes some Zerglings. And it looks like they might be able to hold it off.
Yeah, they're going to be cleaned up. Now, when he uses the blink, the Stalkers become very vulnerable as he has no escape mechanism. And I think this is a crucial time for Ret to actually use his counterattack. He has to be careful. He doesn't have a Spire, Greater Spire out currently, and he doesn't have the ability to make infestors just yet. So in terms of getting reinforcements of the same army composition, it's be very difficult.
Well, okay, so we do have Void Rays coming out for Ace. His upgrades are at 3 attacks, so they're very good for popping things like Broodlords, which have no upgrades in their armor. The ground army for Ret is fairly well upgraded, 2 armor and 1 melee, and I believe it's 2 range attack. Oh no, that 4th base again goes down for Ret on the right side of the map. Finally, it's like the 4th or 5th warp in, and it's finally successful.
He needs to kill that.
So this attack really in the middle of the map is so important for Ret. It has to come down to this.
And with no creep, it's going to be extremely hard to keep up with Ace. Ace is just performing brilliantly, and now we can see trying to move into position, but he needs a better arc right now. One Blink Stalker is just going to check what's going on, and he's kind of against the wall, but still Void Rays are going to come in here. These Void Rays are going to charge up very fast.
No, they're not. They're dead, actually, Greetorp. They're completely dead. Those Broodlords are actually sitting there just fine, and the Hydra count is doing work against these Stalkers. Ret is going to have a resupply issue, though, like you said, and I believe it's just not going to be enough with the Warpins.
Yeah, and he just can't defend his Broodlords well enough. The Colossus are able to get onto these Hydras. Finally, the Broodlords go down, but again, Ret can't really resupply. We can look back at his base. His reproduction is very minimal. 3 Roaches and 1 Hydralisk in production right now.
Yeah, and he did rebuild that Spire, but it's not a Greater Spire, so we will not be seeing Broodlords for the time being. Ret's money is terrible. If you look at the income tab, he is sitting on 62 Harvesters, but he's pulling in only 800 minerals a minute, I suppose. His Natural's about to be completely mined out. His main is mined out. So he's down to this last third, which is drastically undersaturated, and actually he's not even mining from one of the gases, or both the gases for all intents and purposes. So Ret is hurting economically. Meanwhile, Ace is taking that 4th base, is actually ahead in Harvester count by 15, and is raking in the dough. So this is actually a really unfortunate situation for Ret.
Dark Templars in here. Into the natural, and additionally some Zealots as well. So he's being harassed all over the place, losing some crucial units with this Warp Prism up here. This is really nice play by Ace, just keeping up the harass, making sure that his economy is minimal.
There's even DTs from a Warp Prism in the lower left-hand corner of Ret's main. This is too much. Ret is being like triple-pronged attack right now. We have the Protoss Death Ball lurking around outside. DTs are inside, hacking away at the Hive. And Ret is quick to react, but this might be a positional fight, so all of Ret's army has to come back and stop this from happening, and they will do that, but look at the positioning. The Protoss players pushing forward, severing off the, well, I guess not. I was going to say the drones going to that almost completed 4th, but now they are going to make their way over there. And with Ret losing so much in so many different places, I don't know how he can come back.
Yeah,
I think it's over.
Right now, he's in a terrible position. It doesn't really look like he can come back from this.
No, even his third's mined out. It's over.
Which is, it's mined out completely. He has no way of expanding again as this Protoss Death Ball. It's such a small death ball,
Oh, my God.
But
Ace,
in relativity to his army, it is a death ball. He can't do anything
well, look at
about
Ace
this.
just going home. Killed the 4th. Ret's sitting on 65 minerals.
GG?
He saved up for in his piggy bank. And there's a GG. I mean, Ace, really good play, but I can't help but to watch Zerg on that map and think that you have to plan around the size of that map. I mean, Ret had a great push out. There was a moment where it looked like it could have succeeded, perhaps, but because he had no reinforcements and no income to supply the reinforcements, I suppose, he wasn't able to do it.
I mean, it's tough. You have to play that a little bit more defensively. That 3rd dries up very quickly.
Yeah.
It dries up just at the same time as your natural dries up, since it's half the money that you get, and you get it a bit later. So because of that, you need to actually either expand again very fast or double expand. And I think taking that gold expansion would have been very advantageous for him, because he can get that creep spread going. He can get those creep tumors in really nice place, and that can give him a lot more map presence. But with the units just swinging around to the main, he wasn't able to scale correctly, and because of that, defensively he had to push out. He had no other choice because he incurred too much loss in that harass. And ultimately, Ace was able to take that game very convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to look at, too, there was that pylon. It's kind of an MVP pylon sitting over the 4th. Ret was doing a timing. Let's make no mistake. He was going for the Greater Spire at a very accelerated rate. He was charging up his whole army underneath that tech, basically, with the sole purpose of defending those Broodlords while they hash out the big damage. And he wasn't able to get that done because the 4th was under siege all game long. And as Zerg players at home, please understand when Zealots materialize, they actually don't grow on the bottom of rocks or like drop from the sky. They're being warped in from something, be it a warp prism or a pylon.
That's another thing. He really should have taken care of that. That was such an important idea to make sure that all of your expansions are not harassable. You need to keep those intact, especially as Zerg. If you don't have your expansions, then you don't have the ability to reproduce at the rate you need to remax at that 200 army. So next time, Ret really needs to take care of that individual expansion and make sure there are no proxy pylons that can have any shenanigans like that.
I mean, the early portion of that game was brilliant, though. Ret handled a lot of that pressure really, really well. Ace making a decision on the fly to go away from the Stargate and actually go with the gateway timing to, purely because he scouted what Ret was going to do with that fast third. Really, really nice game by both players in the mental aspect, I would say, at the early portions. I think from there, Ace kind of continued that brilliant play, and Ret faltered just a little bit. But Ret is a champion, ladies and gentlemen. He's won major, major tournaments, including Assembly not too long ago. So actually, look for him in game number 2 to make those adjustments and see what he can do to overcome StarTale Ace. And we're going to go there right now. All right, there's the countdown, and we're going to go underway. This is game number 2 between StarTale Ace and Liquid Ret, sponsored by the Little App Factory. Please do check out teamliquid.net as well. It's one of the most fantastic community websites you can ever be a part of. Big shout out to them. They're doing the TSL right now, a fantastic tournament. Love all you guys. But this is game number 2 of this best of 3, so if Ret loses this game, he will be eliminated in this best of 3. Now, of course, a lot of people have said, well, what does that mean? It is just week 1 of a very long schedule. Yes, but you'd be surprised how fast 10 weeks can go of gameplay, so Ret doesn't want to throw anything away, neither does Ace, especially with $50,000 at the end of this rainbow, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if that's a little bit of money to you, then cool, but for me, that's actually like, I would cry, I would hug. I would thank my mom.
I mean, that's a whole year's salary for a professional player in one tournament. $50,000.
It's the kind of money that would allow me to eat Panda Express every single day for how long?
Don't we already do that, though?
Well, that's true, but still, it would be pretty fantastic. So we do have the blue Zerg, Liquid Ret, morphing in the mid right-hand corner, and it is cross-map positions. Thank you so much, Kerrigan, Aldaris, and Minx. These are the founding... the gods of StarCraft. I appreciate that, you guys. It's really nice to see that we're going to get a macro game out of Game 2. Well, hopefully. Now, in the mid-left-hand corner at the 8 o'clock position, we do have StarTale Ace. And, just go on that kind of last game. Both Greetorp and I were talking about the Stargate play of Ace. We didn't get to see it. This is another map where he can do this. I've actually seen him on a map similar to this use his Phoenix opening against Idra, one of the best Zergs in all of the planet from Team Evil Geniuses. And use it to high success. He actually crumpled Idra into a little ball and then threw him away delicately, though. He does, Idra is a delicate little flower. But he was thrown away like garbage.
I'm biased because I really like Ace's Phoenix play. I think it's some of the more elegant and beautiful openings from Protoss. And how Ace does it is just so beautiful. He's able to just control his Phoenix and get a good scout in. Indeed, right?
I'm in your head now, buddy.
Yeah, I love you, baby.
Joking aside, we're always seeking to improve, so we read your guys' constructive criticisms, and hopefully you can have fun with us while we have fun with it, too.
He's the kind of guy that loves the macro play.
See, they didn't recognize that one, so now that you pointed it out, it's going to get me into trouble.
He's the kind of guy.
I always say he's the kind of guy, and Greetorp pointed this out when we were practicing, and he got in my head so bad, I actually stopped casting a few times because I had to recollect myself and figure a different way to say it. But I guess we'll just go ahead and talk about the game now. It doesn't really matter what terrible casting antics we actually engage in. The Protoss player is doing above ramp play right now, meaning he's going to go ahead and narrow down this ramp with the standard Gateway Cybernetics core. Zealot going to block the little hole. Both gas have been taken. This is very indicative of both 3-gate expand, but also can branch off to other things like 4-gate pressure. DT rushes, I've seen that. I actually saw MC do that against July. As well as other play like the Stargate. You can throw down a Stargate after a first or even second gateway and initiate with that Phoenix Harass. So the really important thing to note here is how does Ret read this? And he does have, well, let me go ahead and check the vision. He did have a drone in here. He still does. There it is. So he's seeing everything. And he's going to go ahead and leave.
Out of there.
Of course, as I say that. But we do have an Overlord. circling around the outskirts of Ace's base, and that, oh my god, Ace's base? There's like 4 moms watching this right now that got that joke, but the Overlord's going to be able to go ahead and do a sack Obi Scout if he does detect any kind of tomfoolery, but there's the 2
gateways.
It's going to be 3 gate expand.
Very standard play.
Yeah.
I mean, the natural 4 Metalopolis is pretty open, so you want to get that sentry count out as fast as possible. So that's why we see the 2 gates. That's why we see the 3 gateways. And moving on here, I mean, he can do pressure if he wants to. He can add on the additional gateway. You can put on a little pressure if the Zerg is teching really rapidly. But I would, if I were in Ace's position, I would just go ahead and expand, take that macro approach.
Ooh,
to
and here
the
comes
game.
that sack Obi. Let's go ahead and check the vision of what Ret's going to read here, and this is critical. He could see the 2nd and 3rd gateway, and there they are. So a lot of people are saying 2nd and 3rd, calm down in control, and I will not calm down. I've actually got quite a bit of excitement because this is an amazing matchup, and there's the next being scouted out as well. So really good information by Ret, but that's really important to see because if you see a 2nd and 3rd gateway warping at about the same time,
oh, this is what we have because of it.
Boom.
Third
base goes up super fast. And look at this.
Ace. Oh
look
my
at the
god.
exchanges. Ace scouts immediately, moves over to the side, but Ret is on the verge of scouting. I think he saw that probe outside his base. He's looking for it. Because that probe represents the ability to warp in a pylon and then apply a lot of pressure. If that pylon goes up, it gives strength to a push, even from across the map, because of the warp-in mechanic. So Ace is actually tucking that probe away. You can see him doing it. But look at how good of a player Ret is. He is not leaving any corner unturned. And there he goes. He finds the probe. And, guys, a lot of you don't understand this, but this is... okay, actually, never mind. Every one of you understand because you're all smart, upstanding people. But that was so important. As a Protoss player, I can tell you, if that probe goes undetected, you can throw down like 2 more gateways and do the strongest 6 gate you've ever seen. But minus that probe, and that push is about half as powerful.
And we can see sentry count getting pretty high. I love this pylon wall. It's just going to make force fields a lot stronger because you only have to put out 2 force fields instead of a million. And now going to actually completely block, well, barely block off with a forge. So I like this play.
Oh yeah, I'm stealing that.
The biggest thing is going to be the assimilators. He did get his 3rd and 4th assimilator extremely fast, now putting down the forge. And I'm not sure. He has a lot of agency to go and make things like high-tech units or keep on this Stalker sentry count. But we do see Hallucination coming out. Going to be getting...
He's going to go raid the Zerg. I mean, this is the... Like, 3-gate expand is the cookie-cutter build for Protoss. It's the... I'm actually going to sit back here and just try to tech the Colossus unless you do something funky, and now it's my job to read that. What I like about Ret, though, is that he kind of knows that with 3-gate expand there's not a whole lot of aggression. And unfortunately for Ace, he's broadcasted that he's doing like the most straight-up 3-gate expand ever. Actually, he's getting even more sentries. So he's actually at 11 sentries. Holy crap. And the Lings, do they get in? Oh, no, a force field. 1 squeezed in, so he could scout if he wants to. Yep. He's just going to have to settle with a couple probe kills.
That's such a shame. He could have gotten a lot of intelligence. Of course, Ace isn't really... He isn't doing anything that different. The biggest things he was able to see, the 3rd and 4th gas were taken.
He's going to push out, and this could be really problematic. Checking on the upgrades of Ret, he does... Well, let's actually go ahead and see. Did he upgrade speed yet?
I think he's going to be...
No, he has no upgrades on these roaches, though.
Still, he has a lot of them.
Yeah.
And the creep spread is getting there. They're just about to connect bases. He still has... He has a good number of roaches out already.
Oh, and you know what? He actually just read that he's under attack right now. So it's going to come down to how much can the Zerg produce right now, because these roaches are completely unupgraded. No burrow. Nope, no burrow has not even started. Nothing.
Just started.
Yeah. So he's got to get Hydras out. He does have the Hydra Den. He's actually going for roaches because they build faster, but he's got to be careful. Don't go down that ramp, Ret. Oh my gosh. And now he sees the pylon.
Be able to pick off the pylon. No, he doesn't.
And Ace blocking it off, but Ret, great micro, snipes it anyways.
Nice job.
And that's going to thwart a lot of the strength, again, from this push. But there is a pylon in the middle of the map. Ace is still able to produce. But I don't... Yeah, okay, I like this decision. He's going to go back home. He tried it. If it works, great. But don't force the issue. Because Ret, I mean, you just kicked the bee's nest, man. This guy's pissed off.
I think Ace was just trying to posture a little bit. He only had 3 warp gates, so it's not like he can do super amount of pressure.
Yeah.
We can see Ace behind this is getting a Twilight Council, and at the same time getting the robotics facility. And that makes sense. I mean, his gateway units are pretty high right now. His gateway units are pretty high, so he wants to develop them a little bit more since he has a higher concentration of them. So going to get that Blink Stalker out, going to get probably the charge lots as well.
Ooh, it might be time. As Artosis would say, this might be time. Now Ret's swinging in. Zergling's trying to go for a counter. There's no sentries to block it this time. They are going to get in there.
Very nice play.
And Ret's got to get at that mineral line.
See everything.
Well, it doesn't matter at this point. He's attacking, and the third has been delayed by another group of lings. Ret seems to be everywhere at once. Ace is pulling into his main. This could be a delay tactic, because right outside his base is a bunch of roaches, and Ret could be pushing the issue. Snipes the pylon, opens a hole into the natural and the main, but it's going to go ahead and back off, it would seem. Nope, only to reposition. And it's a lot of sentries, so they do a deceivingly lack of damage.
Oh, and baiting some force fields. I
Nice.
like that play.
Yes, very good play.
But there are a ton of sentries, so I don't think it really matters. I think Ret really needs to get EMP. What? No, of course he needs to get Burrow and the Tunneling Claws. I think that'll be the best way.
He's expanding. This is such good play by Ret. Spire's about to complete. He's got Hydras coming out. He's got Lings. And this is what Zergs at home need to look at. Look at how active these Lings are. They're very replaceable. They're very mobile, so they're able to run in here. They're going to actually try to cancel his third, but Ace is in position to deny this. We'll see, though. Can the Lings do enough damage? And no, they're going to go ahead and go for the probe first. There's that army. Now they got to pull back, and okay, they will. But such good information, such good harass, forcing Ace to stay at home and build stack defenses. I really like Ret's play right now. It's really good.
Yeah, his activity is phenomenal right now. And again, he's teching up. We see the Infestation Pit, the Hive, just goes down. Spire is out as well, so he's going to be able to be strong against any form of Colossus tech as well. But Ace is just sticking with this mass gateway type of composition. And, you know, rightfully so. He does have a lot of sentries, but I would like to see Colossus be melded into this army a little bit.
I'm going to disagree with you to a certain extent. It's not that, I mean, he kind of has to, so it's not like it's a...
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He's stuck on the gateway tech. I feel like if he's in his comfort zone, he's getting out Colossus right now, or already has his third, but he's actually throwing down 2 more gateways on top of this for a total of 8. And Ret is already at his 4th. If you look at the income tab, Ret's sitting at 74 Harvesters versus the 60 of Ace, and some more Zerglings trying to swing around there, but they're going to get thwarted. Overlord making its way through Ace's space as we speak. Again, every time I say it, I have to chuckle internally because it would interrupt my broadcast, just like I just did right now. But 3 bases for the Protoss player, very manageable when the Zerg is on 4 or 5. And here's what I like to see. Ret just not pausing in his tech. The Hive is nearing completion again at that 15-minute mark. No tunneling claws for the Roaches, but that's okay. No upgrades on the Spire because I presume fast. Greater Spire. Let's see it. 150. Yep, there it is. So Ret loves those Broodlords, man.
Yeah, but I'm kind of worried right now for Ret. I don't know how he's going to deal with the mass force fields, because he has all range. He can be segmented very easily. We do see Colossus.
He's gonna sneeze Zerg units at him. You watch. Ret is like the confetti machine of Zerg. It's just gonna explode all over the Protoss. Well, on to what do you got for me?
He is the.
I'm done with that analysis.
Expanding yet again
like
to the gold expansion. I mean, he has map control. I would like to see him expand also to the 6 o'clock if possible, as this gold is a little bit, it's not too secure just because it's out in the open.
I prefer the 5th, the main.
Ace,
6 o'clock.
Yeah, definitely. The 6 o'clock, that's what I was saying before. And now we can see Ace wants a kind of posture. I like this. The Zerg play keeps so active around the map.
Yeah. I agree with you on the high yield, but you know what? The other end of that coin too is that if he gets the space, if he's in a position where he's winning, then that's the nail in the coffin. But of course, Ret doesn't like it when I talk about things that aren't exciting because he is swinging the full. Okay, as I say that, his army pulls back. Actually, it's just going to go ahead and move around. It looks like it's a little bit of a shadowboxing match, and Ace has to be careful. His army divided. Oh my goodness, the 1 Immortal and a bunch of sentries to boot is not very strong. Now there's only 1 Colossus on the field. That's not a lot of area of effect damage. If Ret can get a concave, he'll be in great shape. Tries to snipe that Colossus.
Position, though.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs to get down this ramp, else he's going to be in this terrible top position.
Oh my god, he hallucinated 4 Colossus.
Oh, and he has hallucinated Colossus. I like this play.
Ret has to be careful here, though.
Ooh, I don't like this. Going to be force fielding, segmenting some of the army, and this is what I'm talking about. It's very hard to be able to deal with this. He can't really push in, and with all these sentries,
fields. Yeah.
He doesn't really have a great response to this. Now, force fielding yet again, blinking up, saving the sentries so they're not taking much of the brunt. But still, Ret is losing all of his army.
And he's only building corruptors.
Oh, this is not
He's got 12 Corruptors on the way. He's not building anything else except for 90 Zerglings. I mean, the untold story here is that actually Ace doesn't... I mean, he used up a lot of force fields. The sentries don't do that much damage. And he only has the one actual Colossus. So it is possible for Ret to recover from this. But we're seeing the volatility of that high-yield expansion being capitalized on. And now it's going to come down to what these Zerglings can do. Do Zerglings have enough gusto to take on this army? I just don't like the feel of it. They're really unupgraded. They're at 1 armor. Protoss sitting at 2 weapons attack. And here we go. Ret's decided it's time. Going for the surround. Force field's going up. A blink, though, puts him kind of out of position. But it might just be too much, Greetorp.
Yeah, the confetti of Zerg is coming down. But again, these Blink Stalkers doing amazing micro. Going to be able to clean everything up, and with the force fields, that's what I'm talking about before. The force fields are just so strong, and I don't think Ret was accurately prepared. We can see Broodlords are up, going to be blinking up immediately, sniping off these Broodlords, and they're going to be unavailable to do any damage whatsoever to trying to morph in right now. But I think it's a little too little, too late, as Ace sweeps into this third base and is going to deny this base as well.
I mean, Ret is morphing in Broodlords right under the nose. He's actually even trying to take the high yield, but it's right next to the macro pylon of Ace. This is just a stampede of Protoss units. There's the GG, and Ret falls 0-2 to Startail Ace. I will say this, Startail Ace played brilliantly in both the games. I mean, the easy thing to do is to talk about Ret's mistakes right now, but I feel like that would be undermining what Startail Ace just did, because he actually played fantastically well. I could not find many mistakes at all.
I would have liked to see Ret have a little bit more activity with larger battles on Ace's side of the map. But when he waits for Ace to come to him, what ends up happening is he uses the force fields for aggressive stances rather than defensive. You need to spend those force field energies up as much as possible and try to whittle down that sentry count. If you don't, the attacks come and you really will never have a good concave, never have good position, and you're relying on all these waves and waves. And with Ace's huge sentry count from the beginning, I'm pretty sure most of them had 200 army, or 200 mana. He was able to be so efficient with that end battle.
He had infinite force fields,
and able to just take over. It didn't even look like it was a battle at the end.
I mean, the biggest thing for me and the unfortunate thing was the angles of that last fight. Trying to defend that high-yield expansion at the top of the ramp might seem like a good idea just because you do have the top of a ramp, and all of our StarCraft senses say, okay, if I'm at the top of the ramp, I'm advantaged, right? Well, in StarCraft 2, if you have vision of the top of that ramp, it's exactly the same as standing arm-to-arm with somebody or something like that. So what's actually more important for the Zerg is to get the full concave so that most of his units are firing at the same time, or just more of them. So when those force fields went up, we saw the Zerg units wash up against the force fields because Ret maintained the A move. And now, even if you only have 1 or 2 Colossus, they're gonna do tremendous damage to units that are standing shoulder to, on top of each other, essentially. So Ret unfortunately picked the wrong place to fight and lost the game, but then he was also resupplying with mostly Corruptors.
The hallucination was so brilliant. I really like that.
You know what? That's probably what it was. He thought he saw 5 or 6 Colossus, and
when it was 1.
It was actually just 1.
Like, I'm just going to get 1 Colossus, but it's a really clever play. And that just helped even more because Broodlords take forever to get out. So as soon as he sees, oh, their hallucination's crap, he's not. I think Zergs need to start getting some overseers with that main army to see, okay, how do I gauge this for when I'm resupplying?
I would just say infestors. Infestors actually kind of answer everything. Like they're good against hallucination and everything else. But you know what? Ret is a champion. He will rally back, ladies and gentlemen. This is just week number 1. Startail Ace going into this could be considered one of the favorites of this group. It's certainly easy to look at this group and say, okay, Startail Ace makes it out. So no big harm necessarily for Ret. And I'm trying to basically turn a frown upside down and make it into a smile right now, because I think Ret will rally back and give us some exciting games and hopefully make it out of this group, because he's a fantastic player. But we're going to go into a short little break, and then we're going to go into our next set. And guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be right back.